Hey friends, Diana here from Garden Love. I'm excited to be making this video because as I've been speaking in my previous video that water is life to everything, and being consistent with watering is the only thing that's actually going to allow your trees to thrive and grow and produce fruit. So I wanted to make this video to show you guys multiple ways that you guys can set up to help your trees get the adequate water, and you don't have to be relying on yourself to hand water. Although it is a therapeutic act, and sitting there and watering your plants, it helps you clear your mind, it gives you some sort of therapy. I love doing it, but you know what stresses me out is knowing that those trees are depending on me, and now I have to go out there and water. I like to just come out when I feel like it and I'm up to it, and enjoy and come out and know that my trees are going to still be alive and healthy and not just barely surviving. I want them to be thriving. So that's why I want to show you guys a couple different ways that can help you set up irrigation. And let's start with the most common one. If you have a spigot, all you need to do is grab one of these, and you need to buy the drip line hose, which you'll find at any of the big box stores. You can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, even I don't know if the nurseries have these, but you can even try that. I know there are some specialty irrigation stores. You can look up for your local one, but for sure the big box store. I got this at Home Depot, and all it is you screw that onto your hose, and I'll show you guys how I have set it up. I have it all over my property, but I want to show you guys the pieces. First, this is the first thing you're going to want to get if you want to set it up to your spigot. Then you're going to want to get some line. Let me bring some for you. Okay, I didn't want to completely drag this all the way over there, but this is all it is. It's some irrigation line, as you guys can see. They come in different sizes. You want to make sure that you get the same size as the piece I showed you earlier, because all you're going to do, let me bring the other piece so I can show you how it connects. I didn't want to be standing over there, so I just cut off a piece so I can show you guys. These come in about like 20 feet long. It just depends where you go. You get this piece, you put this piece together, then you screw it into your spigot. And then there is, oh, here it is. I was looking for this. There's this hole puncher, basically hose puncher. You punch it, then you get these little, I'm gonna take you guys over there, but I just really want to show you guys the pieces so you guys can get an idea and know what you're looking at. Okay, this, you guys see this little piece? That's going to go into the hole you puncture. You're gonna set up these little holes and put the adequate drip you want. These come in different sizes, so it's just going to depend how much water comes out per minute. Here is a hose set up. Just imagine that hose being attached. And then if you are gonna spread this line through multiple areas, you're gonna wanna get pieces like this, and so that way you can, you don't wanna bend that hose. You wanna make sure that you have elbows and splitters, okay? And then there's little pieces. This is how they come, so you know what you're looking for. And then there's, oh, I used the other one. These little water heads. All right, so that's, and then you can also buy a timer that gets attached to this whole thing, and you can set up the timer. If you don't want to get the timer because you don't want to spend the money at the moment, I'm going to show you how I have it. I just go there once a week and let it run for like 15-20 minutes because I only have succulents over there. So now that I've showed you kind of like a rundown, I'm also going to show you a solar system and another way to set up through your spigot. There's some kits you can buy that already come with a timer. This is an old one I haven't even used. Okay, so this comes with a timer. I haven't set this one up, but I highly recommend it because it's fairly easy. It comes with the timer, it comes with the adapters, and all you do is run. This would be great if you have a spigot right next to your raised beds or right next to whatever it is that you're trying to water. If it's a long distance between your spigot to where your raised beds are, then I highly suggest this. And if you do not have any spigots whatsoever near your garden, then I highly recommend the solar one. And I'm going to show you what they all look like and give you an example so you can figure out which is the best irrigation system for you. So let's go. All right, friends, here is a part of my property that I normally don't share. I have a little guest house here, and I have a succulent garden. I'll show you guys. I do have a spigot right next to this garden, and I did the system that I just explained. I did not put a timer. That's something that I have to integrate because I do think that these plants need something more consistent than what I can, where they could depend on me for. So, but I'm going to show you guys just a basic setup in case you guys want to set it up, and eventually you can add the timer. It's so easy to add the timer. It's just like connecting a hose. This is what it looks like. All right, here's the spigot. Here's the piece that I suggest you get. Here is the line. I cut it to size and an elbow. Then I ran this line straight all the way to the end. And wherever it is that I wanted to add plants, I'm going to show you guys. I just puncture a hole and ran lines. And I did that to this whole area. Definitely need to add more mulch, add more plants. I want to put a tree here to kind of give it a privacy like screen here. I'm not sure whether I want to put a Mexican key lime just because of its nature growth. It gets wide and bushy, or a Laura Bay because it does the same thing. If you guys have any suggestions for that, leave it in the comments below. You guys are amazing. You guys are always giving me great advice and tips. But this is the number one option. That one of the easiest way to do it. You just add a timer to that if you want. Now that I showed you all the pieces and I showed you how I use them, I'm going to show you how the goal is to eventually have all my raised bed gardens in this area. The closest spigot is at the edge of that workshop. And if you're wondering how I'm going to get water to this whole area, let me show you how I already started setting it up. Here's the closest spigot. What I've done is I've set up a timer and added basically the same thing that you saw at my other irrigation display. And this timer, you know, I could just set it up whenever I want the water to go, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, multiple times a day. It doesn't matter. I'm going to set it up through this. I'm going to show you this is running all in that direction. From that direction, is running along the shipping container, and then I put splitters to go into different areas. I only have 2 raised beds there and they're getting water, but I'm going to be adding a total of 5 more raised beds, and in the future I'll make that video how I'll show and how I split all these lines for my raised beds to get water. So let me just walk you through it. All right, here's my spigot. I actually put a splitter because I wanted one for the hose and one for my irrigation. It comes with the kit. Here's the timer. Okay, then here's the adapter I explained earlier. You connect it to the timer, and there's the line that we talked about. It's running up there. And I put a elbow there coming this way. And as you can see, there it is, coming up to my raised bed that I have not tended to, and I am not even stressing about it because that's a plan for next year. We are going to grow a beautiful garden here, and I'm going to take this whole year to get it set up. I punctured, I don't know if you guys can see that, and now my tree's getting water. My raised bed's getting water. My other tree's getting water. My other tree's getting water. My blueberries are getting water. Everything that's along this little fence is getting water. And I did try to grow things on the center block. It's also getting water, but nothing was thriving there because it wasn't getting enough sun. As you can see, it's half shade, half sun. That's a topic for another story. Let's move on. Now you might be wanting to grow a garden and you don't have a spigot nowhere near. You don't want to spend the money on running a long line either with PVC or with the irrigation line, and maybe you need something different, and that's when the solar systems come in. And let me show you how well they work, how much they have helped me, and how much I'm growing with just 2 solar systems. From there this way, there's no irrigation, there's no spigot, there's no water. The only thing I have is, let me show you guys. It's a little messy back here. It's this huge bucket, a solar system that's set up with a line that goes all across to my trees, my blueberries, and all of that. I'm also growing some other trees here, and I just thought it was too many drip systems for one line, so I added a second one right there. And all I do is, depending on the weather and how often I have it set up for, I come and fill them up. Most likely when it's really hot, I come once a week. When it's not so hot, maybe every other week. It just depends on your temperature and how you want to water. But look at this. Blueberries. These are really good. Anyways, okay, let's continue. I'm going to show you another place where I have a solar system, even though there is irrigation, and I'm going to explain why I decided to put a solar system when I can easily run more lines. And I'm gonna give you guys a few ideas on how you can use those solar systems, because I personally have thought about this in the most recent videos. I've been growing a lot of things on my hillside, and a lot of things that I recently planted are not thriving because they're not getting as much water as they should be, because everything's on a timer and most everything up here is established. So the newer trees are going to need more water than everything else needs. So I'm thinking about putting a solar system irrigation specifically for those trees until they get established, because that would ensure they're going to get more water and will help them get established. But while I'm here, I hope you guys don't mind, in the middle of this video, I want to see how big my nectarines are, because they're looking pretty good. Look at that. It's almost the size of my hand. Oh no, something pecked at it already. Okay, so I'm gonna keep a close eye. I actually was supposed to take some of this fruit off, but I didn't. Anyways, let me continue, because you guys know me, I would get sidetracked and talk to you guys about that for the rest of this video, and that's not what this video is about. We're gonna go focus on irrigation, and let me go show you how else you guys can use that solar irrigation. This whole area, I can run a line from my spigot down this way. However, I want most of the pressure to go to the garden I'm about to be building in the next few weeks and months. So what I've done is, for all of my fruit trees that are in big containers, I've set up a solar timer right there. The cool thing about these solar timers irrigation is that you can add some fertilizer in here, which I did. That's why it looks cloudy. Once that dilutes, it's basically watering your plants and giving it fertilizer at the same time. And here is a raised bed that my husband helped me build specifically for my passion fruit. I've been wanting to grow passion fruit since I moved here. I successfully did it once. However, I didn't keep up with the watering, and that is the issue. I didn't want to have it in a pot anymore, especially since I knew that the passion fruit will grow and thrive here. And if it's already going to struggle in the climate that I'm placing it in, putting it in the ground is going to help this passion fruit survive even more, because it's going to allow the roots to go deep down into the soil and source for whatever it is that the plant needs. Plants are wonderful like that. Once you plant them and you help them get established, they will help themselves to the resources that are available around them. So I also added a watering system. This is a solar system. Let me show you guys. All right, this is still not completely set up because I want to put the solar panel and the timer up here so it's out of the way. And I use this jug when I can technically use a bigger jug, which I will do because I don't want to come and refill this every other day, every 2 days, which so far that's what I've noticed I've had to do since I set this up. And all it is, the setup is fairly easy. I'm gonna be either I posted it already or I'm gonna post a video of when I set this whole thing up so you guys can see how easy it is. Now, you guys can go to the store and order these, go to Amazon. I'm going to put a few links so you guys can see what I'm getting. If it's easier for you to buy it from the link or from my Amazon shop store, or you guys can just search it. But I'm going to put it up there for you guys so you guys can find exactly what I'm using here. This is watering. I ran the line to my passion fruit, to my epazote, my chili, my other epazote, and to my zucchini that's actually struggling here, and I want to say it's because it's not getting enough sun. This place is shady, and surprisingly the passion fruit is thriving. It's thriving with this shade. So now these are some more fruit trees that are in line, literally waiting in line to get planted. And for now what I did is basically the line that's running from the spigot going across here, I punctured a little hole and did an extension line. And every single one of these fruit trees are getting water on the same timer that the raised beds over there are. So I don't have to worry about that. Eventually, I want to plant blueberries or golden berries here. And when the time comes, I'm either going to turn this line that I have already installed to go with the same timer, set it up, or I'm gonna run some more lines or maybe set up another solar system. Now, if you have the money and you want to do things legit, like you want to just have something set up in a way that it's just permanent and you're not going to have to worry about it, getting yourself a timer like this and having someone do the work for you, putting a bow and a bow with a line going to all your fruit trees, that's I would say the last thing I would do if you're trying to save money, or if you're just trying to get it done and over with, then that would be the first thing I would do. So let me show you. Here is my irrigation bow, and from here there's a line coming out exactly the same way as it would be from a spigot, but it's connected to a bow that's connected to a timer that you can set up. It's going underneath the ground, let's see here, the wiring, so that way you don't have to, like, this is like if you need to cover a large space, if you need to cover something from a distance and you don't want to have run that line all the way from a spigot. I mean, look at how far this is. The timer's way over there, the spigot's right here, and it's watering all those trees. Now there is a spigot here, but then I would have to do the whole setup with a timer and the line. Okay, and those after a year or two, maybe even 3 if you're lucky, 4 years, you will have to replace, where this one for the most part can be a lot longer. And as you guys can see here, I could dig up a trench and just hide that line. I haven't done so, excuse me, but this is how I'm watering my entire orchard, my citrus orchard over here. There's a line going this way and there's a line going that way for the second row. Now, most of you guys are probably not going to do something as crazy as I did with this hillside garden. We dug up a trench that goes all the way from that bow all the way up to the top of the hillside garden. We put some more boughs over there, and we added PVC lines going down each side of the hillside, and then we did splitters that connect to the irrigation hose, and then from the irrigation hose we added the drip system, the little drip lines. And that is how this ginormous hillside garden is getting water. You often, I do want to point out, let's go take a seat so we can talk about the things you got to consider, things you got to keep in mind, and let's get into it. It is hot today, friends. I'm so glad I came out here to do this video. I'm going to put my hair up so With all of these systems, there's pros and cons for all of them. You're just gonna have to do what works best for you at the time. You can always upgrade if for now the irrigation solar is the best feasible thing. I highly recommend it. I actually love them. They've been working out so good for me so far. The oldest one I've had has been almost 2 years. It's still working. I don't know how long they work for. So, but $30, $35, even $49 I think I paid for one, because it just came with extensions and the extra pieces. I think that that's worth for 2 years, definitely, until we save up to do something more permanent. We don't even know if we're gonna like the garden where we put it, so sometimes that's something else to consider. This one is super easy to install if you're just putting it to your spigot with a timer. Highly recommend this. Like I said, I've already explained a lot of the reasons why you should go with either one of them. The one thing I do want to say that I notice on my orchard, I have this going on with this. If you have any type of squirrels or rodents or anything in the hot summer days, they are going to chew through this to get to water. So every year I have to go see what lines have been chewed through, and then I have to do repairs. Basically, this is already ready for me to pull out 2 or 3 lines that I've noticed that are chewed up. So every time the irrigation system starts, the water is just basically falling out and it's not going directly where I have set it to go to. So all I have to do is pull it and replace it with this one. So it's fairly easy. And one thing I highly recommend also is, once you set up these systems, is that you do your morning walks or your weekly walks through your property and your garden, because you want to make sure that none of those connectors have broken. Keep in mind that you have to have your water on, and the timer is what's holding the pressure. And if any of those timers ever pop off, the water is going to be just flushing out. So you don't want to waste water and then get a ginormous bill. So just always keep an eye on your irrigation system. I tried my best to come out and walk every day and just do a little walkthrough, an inspection, a perimeter inspection walk. And it's just really peaceful. So I highly recommend it. I hope that this video was informative. I hope that it gave you some answers, some encouragement, and some inspiration, and realize that setting up irrigation is not as hard as you think, because I was so intimidated with irrigation when I first started gardening, to the point where I just didn't even set it up. It was just like, nope, I'm going to hand water everything. And I used to have a small enough garden for me to be able to do that. So it was no big deal. But now that I have multiple spaces that need to get water, and I just couldn't, there's no humanly possible for me to keep up with the watering. So I have implemented all of these irrigation systems, and they have helped tremendously since I started implementing them. So I want to hear in the comments where you're at with your garden. If you've used any of these methods, your success story with it. If you haven't used any of them, which one are you interested in trying out first? And any questions, because I know I may have not covered a few things that you might be wondering about. No question is dumb. Every question is completely valuable and important for you to ask. Trust me, coming from someone who was completely intimidated by irrigation, I know the feeling. I know that it might be something simple for someone who already has done it, but might not seem as simple for someone who hasn't. So I'm here for you. See you in the comments. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next one. If you're new here, consider following me. And that's it. You guys have a blessed day. Bye. I try to get some pliers that I can pull this with. And I just pull it out. Since I have my other line ready, I just insert it back in, direct the line to where I want the water to go to. And that's it.